At this time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners for the Spatial Public Building Commission agenda. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here.
Commissioner Allen?
Here.
Commissioner Klicka?
Here.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Chairman Eilert?
Here. We do have a quorum. Would the clerk please read the first item?
Item number 1, consider approving the minutes of the November 16, 2017 special meeting minutes.
Do I hear a motion? Mr. Osterhaus.
Move to approve the meeting minutes from November 16, 2017.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Should note Commissioner Ashcraft was absent. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka?
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Abstain.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Chairman Eilert?
Aye. Motion carried. Item number 2.
Request for proposal number 2017-013. Consider authorizing a contract for the public art component of the Lenexa City Center with Stephen T. Johnson, artist, in an amount not to exceed $205,000.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Good morning, Chairman Eilert and Commissioners. I'm Brad Reinhardt with the Facilities Department. Last week, Stephen T. Johnson was here and presented his proposed public art project for the new Lenexa Library at the Lenexa City Center. This work is a set of 3 glass mosaic panels as shown here in one of the renderings of the work. It has the alphabet theme and it's incorporated into the architecture of the facility. Mr. Johnson is a nationally recognized artist and widely acclaimed for his work in children's literature and illustration. And both the Johnson County Library Board and the Public Art Commission enthusiastically endorse this work and recommend approval. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you have.
Questions of Mr. Reinhardt? Mr. Ashcraft.
Mr. Chairman, not necessarily of Mr. Reinhardt, but I thought Mr. Kassler, if he would.
Sean Casserly, librarian.
Yep. Good morning, Mr. Casserly.
Morning.
I appreciate the effort of you and the selection committee of providing art that is integrated into the structure. That has been something that we've talked about, and I think this definitely fulfills that. The one question that has given me hesitancy on projects like this is the expenditure of funds for art versus the ability to fund core services and responsibilities. And I just wanted to ask you if you felt that, and I've raised this question at the Library Commission and otherwise, for example, support for the collection, if there's adequate funding, necessary funding, if this is the best use of the $200,000 in terms of the library, and I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
I think my perspective is that we follow county policy on this concerning public art, and that it's always a balance, between our buildings, the staff, the collection, and the technology that we try to provide. And so, I guess what I'm saying is we're always striving for that balance in our budget.
So, are you foreseeing needs for the collection or technology that could use additional resources in this coming year?
Yeah, I think the needs of the community always kind of exceed the resources that we have, and so we're always just trying to make decisions about how to expand and meet the greatest need of the citizens of Johnson County with the resources that we have. So again, just as we kind of follow policy on how we build our buildings, we're kind of following the same county policy on how we're going through this art process.
Okay. If I'm understanding what you're saying, then I would offer that while this is an exciting project and I think will add to this facility, I have hesitation, reservations about spending money for art if there are needs for core services, so my vote will reflect that concern.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions? Mr. Klicka?
Mr. Chairman, as I stated last week, and I direct this to Brad here, obviously the issue of art continues to be an issue of what role the county should or should not play, and this goes on. I know this issue has gone on for years and will probably go on for many years to come. But what I have to compliment you on is as a proponent of art, seeing the art incorporated at the early stages of this ball game and incorporated into the project makes me a whole lot more comfortable versus sometimes what I feel in the past has been more just an add-on and just to respond to the art. This way, I feel like when we look at this building and what Mr. Johnson showed us last time, seeing it incorporated into this whole building was fabulous. And Mr. Chairman, when you're ready, I'll be happy to make a motion.
Well, we've not asked for public comment yet. Mr. Brown?
A question, and perhaps this is a question I should have asked last week when we had the artist here, but how are those panels? He showed us pieces, and they smaller pieces are shipped as a larger bundle of pieces. How are they connected to the building? Do we know? What is my concern is a kid with a ball, earthquake, something dramatic. What happens to those panels?
Yeah. So those panels are actually incorporated and secured by cement, so they're actually embedded in the building. So there's not like a painting. They're not hanging or anything like that. They are like a mosaic. They become part of the building.
They're attached to the building?
They are attached to the building, just almost like a fresco that they're pushed in through cement.
And just as a point of clarification, given the amount of the overall contract for the library, what would have been the maximum? What would be 1%? What would have been a maximum amount of money?
I think about $215,000, and I think this comes in around $205,000.
This is under the limit?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission on this item? Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joella Hoy, 8517 Alden Lane in Lenexa. I definitely support this as a Lenexa resident, the community art component. I serve on the Planning Commission in Lenexa, certainly not here representing that, but it's something that was in my mind when I approved plans for this building, that the public art component is really important, and so I strongly urge you to keep supporting that, because as somebody who frequents the Lackman Library with my 5-year-old, I want him to have access to public art. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, there being no one else to address the commission on this item, it's back before the board. A motion would be in order. Mr. Klicka?
I move the board authorize the contract for the public art component of the Lenexa City Center with Stephen T. Johnson, artist, in an amount not to exceed $205,000 per request for proposal 2017-013.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the request for proposal as identified for the public art in the Lenexa City Center Library facility. Any further questions or discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka?
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
No.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Chairman Eilert?
Aye. Motion carried. Are there any other items to be considered?
No, sir.
All right, that concludes our agenda for the Public Building Commission. We are adjourned from that session, and after a very short break, we'll come back for agenda review for next week, followed by the executive session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.